So we might, kick off. And firstly, as I said, I'll introduce myself and Joanne Knight, and we're two of Modern Teaching Aids certified LEGO Education Academy teacher trainers. So we'll be sort of taking you on the journey today, if you like. So,
hi everyone, nice to meet you.
Hi Joe. So what we're looking at today is Spike Essential. So Spike Essential is targeted in that grades 1 through to year 5 range. And so it makes up part of what we can refer to as the LEGO learning system. So this is a term that comes up occasionally. And so I may as well sort of present it now. And it's a range of products, which is in the Spike Essential and Spike Prime products, which are LEGO robotics products, if you like. And then we've got the BrickQ Motion line of products as well. BrickQ Motion Essential, which here down the bottom here, which is targeted years 1 to 5 as well. And then we've got BrickQ Motion Prime, which is targeted in that sort of 5 to 8 range as well. So now these products all fit together, and what it means to be part of the LEGO learning system is that they are compatible with each other. So there's lessons where you can combine them, and there's also a professional development surrounding them. And that can be self-driven professional development, and also the sorts of workshops that we provide as well. So there's those sort of interconnected lessons which makes them part of a whole system. And as I said, today's focus is on Spike Essential, which targets specifically that 1 to 5. For those who don't know, the BrickQ Motion range are a couple of science products, or LEGO educational products, which really focus on science concepts such as cogs and wheels and inclined planes and friction and those sorts of concepts. So and it's all doing it without the need for screens. So that's one of it. Sort of, some people really like it for that there's no screen time involved. Whereas the Spike Essential and Spike Prime are definitely products which you need a computer or a laptop or an iPad to work with. All right. So now I'm just going to play you a short video as well. And in this video, it's just sort of an explanation. All right, and so in that video, you might have seen links to the fact that there are curriculum lessons around it. There's the reference to the professional development that's involved. And so we'll go into some of those things, how the kits are sorted, that sort of thing. So now, I guess, from its very inception, the Spike Essential was designed with the idea of making it really easy and fun for students to engage with STEM concepts. And Spike Essential is one of those truly cross-curricular teaching solutions. And the lesson plans themselves are cross-curricular. They're designed to encourage whole child development, and the lessons naturally integrate maths and literacy and social emotional learning and bring STEAM concepts to life for the students. We've also got, there's a little sort of gang, if you like, of really relatable minifigures for the students in that sort of really inclusive manner, where we're taking that little gang of 4, and you can see 2 of them there, and each of the minifigures has different characteristics and likes and dislikes, that sort of thing, which make them relatable for the students. And part of the storytelling, if you go on, if you like, through the lessons and the problem solving as well. Then we've got the, there's also all the different sort of units of work or lessons in Spike Essential are designed to ensure a progression of learning as the students go from those lower grades up to the upper primary grades. And the unit plan structure is consistent throughout, making it really easy for you to use it in the classroom and have the students familiar with how the lessons work. And the last part is that, as I said, it forms part of that Lego learning system, which is where it's part of a family of products which have professional development and all the sort of consistent unit plans built around them, which is great. Okay, so I guess the other thing is Spike Essential is designed to to excite the students and deliver really strong STEM learning outcomes and develop their STEAM knowledge and practices and 21st century skills. So, in the activities and the lesson plans involved, the students should be able to, it'll help students to develop their computational thinking. It'll give students the opportunity to test their ideas and enhance their problem solving skills as they iterate through different design and testing solutions as well. It'll also help students to investigate scientific concepts relating to energy, and it'll help students to work collaboratively as well. A real part, an essential part, if you like, is we're trying to get at the ideal ratio, if you like, of kits to students, is that you really want the students working in pairs where there's one kit and they're sharing that and they've got to work collaboratively together. They're sort of inspiring each other on and sharing ideas and really trying to help progress their learning in that sense. And it should also help the students to develop their social and emotional language as well, and by understanding how to help the different minifigures, if you like, the story characters, solve the problems that they're confronted with. So, and now if we have a look at the kit itself, and you can see here we've got a few facts around it about, there's about almost 450 different elements in the kit itself. It's got an intelligent hardware here. You can see down the bottom, the intelligent hub, and it's got a couple of a color sensor there, and a little light matrix and a couple of motors. And then you can see the trays there. They're all sorted out easily, making it really easy to sort and arrange at the end of a lesson. It's all sort of color arranged there. So you can see it just makes it so much easier for packing up at the end and organizing the kits. Then we've got, the various there's all the different lesson plans that are there for you. There's about 50 hours of content built around that you use throughout the years from 1 to 5. And then there's all the additional stuff that you can find on the internet. So Lego, if you like, have produced 50 hours of content, and then you can go online and find other lessons produced by other teachers as well. And they can be really great for working out other things that you can do with it beyond the scope of what Lego have created. And it doesn't mean that you yourself can't create lessons as well, which is, we often find with teachers doing that, which is a great thing to encourage. So the units that are prepared by Lego, you can see there's 2 units designed for the lower primary years, 3 units for the upper primary, and even a little competitions unit in there as well. So, and then we've got the add-ons such as the training that we do, and there's personal learning kits that you can use with these as well. So that was really came out of where students we were in lockdown, and there are some additional sort of side kits you can use that you pay about sort of $28 or whatever, and the students could work on a couple of activities out of the kits at home at the same time. So that might work if you're a remote school or something like that. The other thing to note here is there's Lego acknowledge that you can lose little bits of Lego, that sort of thing. So they've put a spares box in there as well. I'd sort of recommend personally, and what I do with my workshop kits is I take that out, and then as I need to replenish the kits, anything like that, I can just go and get them out of the spares kits. So the next thing is a little bit of I just wanted to take you through this section as a little bit of an overview and the sort of 5 pillars. And we'll go into them in a little bit more detail in a moment, but there's all the this is the curriculum. So this is part of the Lego learning system. and in particular relating to Spike Essential. Then we've got the bricks themselves, and then we've got the programming. And you'll notice here that there appear to be two types of coding languages here, or the blocks are slightly different. There's the familiar, for many of you who've used Scratch, that sort of thing, there's these familiar sort of word blocks down the bottom here. And it's based on Scratch. And so here it's where you stack the blocks underneath each other, and they've got, you know, words to explain what they are. Then for the really young learners where they're just starting out, we've got these icon-based blocks. So for students where English is a second language, or they're just developing readers and they're not very confident with words, and that might turn them off, then you can use this icon-based coding as well. And you know, for just about all students when they enter school are very familiar with iPads, that sort of thing. So having them you know, work with those icon-based blocks is a really easy transition for them, and you know, inspires them with a great deal of confidence, and it's quick and easy to get started. Then we've got the intelligent hardware as well. You can see here we've got the hub, and then motors and the color sensor and a light matrix. Then we've got the professional development as well. We'll go into that a bit later, but you just sort of need to know there's self-driven professional development that you can enroll in, and there's also the stuff that we at Modern Teaching Aids provide as well. So there's a range of solutions there in that regard. Now, I just wanted to introduce, I guess, the little mini figures. And you can see here, these are the four sort of characters that are part of the whole story, if you like, through Spike Essential. And you can see here that they're all, you know, the characters are a bit more fleshed out, but you can see Maria here she's curious and inventive and shy. She loves maths and playing the piano. And then we've got Leo down the bottom, and you know, he's happy, kind, and a little quiet. And he loves, you know, he's always got a book about aliens or zombies in his backpack. And then Daniel is artistic and adventurous and helpful. He loves building and creating new things. Art's his favourite subject. And Sophie down here, who's a bit creative and goofy, and you know, has dreams of being competing in the Olympics one day. So you can see there's a little sort of fun story, and we want to sort of help these little guys out throughout the story. Then we jump into the curriculum units. And at this stage, I might transition over to the actual app itself, and we'll have a look at that. So if I jump in here, so now what I've done is jump into the actual app, the Spike app. And the Spike app allows us to go into either Spike Essential, which is for the product we're looking at today, grades 1 to 5, or the Spike Prime, and that's for 5 to 8 plus, depending how you use it. You can notice here even some differences here in the models. This model, if you like, is really based, you can see it's mostly made out of that sort of stud-based Lego. So it's really easy for small hands to push together. Whereas the Lego in the Spike Prime is more of the Technic type Lego, which is pins and beams for the older students. And so straight off the bat, you can see that there's a difference. One of the other things is you can also, this app, for those who are on Chromebooks, particularly those in New Zealand where Chromebooks are quite popular, you can also use this app. There's a web version of the app as well. So where if downloading and installing an app is a bit, it can be problematic, then there is a web version available. One of the shortcomings of the web version is you may not be able to use Bluetooth. Lego are working on that to solve that, but Bluetooth's really handy. So if you can, I recommend downloading the actual app itself. So you can come in here. So I've just clicked on and gone into the Spike Essential, and this is sort of the lobby or the home page. When you first get the kits, my recommendations, some people sort of jump past it. This is the sort of cardboard sheet at the top of the kits, and they turn this over straight away, and you can see there's a little bit of a guide about what pieces go in which trays in the actual kits themselves, and some you know, various pieces, and sort of outlines everything. But on the front there is a little guide. It's www.legoeducation.com/start, and that's a really great place to go when you first get the kits. It's about unpacking them, you know, setting up the hubs the first time you use them, that sort of thing. There's a really good guide there, and I'd recommend you don't bypass it. But after, so once you've been through, you've unpacked the kits, you've installed the latest firmware, that sort of thing, as per that guide, then we come into the app. And this app, you essentially navigate it using these 5 panels here, or tabs here. So I'm on the home page, and this is where you can access a few of the other sections as well. And you can come in here, and what we might do is jump to the start section. And so this is where I would first take the students in the classroom. And we'll jump back into here in a moment, but this is the tutorial where you can start to help the students to familiarize themselves with the motors, with the light matrix, the color sensors, and the built-in gyro in the sensor as well. So, and use of word blocks. So there's really good, easy tutorials there. So then we can jump into the unit plans. We'll come back and have a look at that in a moment after we've done a little overview. So we've got the various unit plans here, and you can see they're all broken up into, if you can, hopefully you can see that clearly up there. It says years 1 to 2. And so we've got these early unit plans for the students when we first start in those early years. So there's great adventures. In here, if I click in, is a bunch of different activities, one around with a theme around a boat trip, around an Arctic ride, around a cave car, and an animal alarm when you go camping. There's an underwater quest and a treehouse camp. And you can see there's these sort of little themes and adventures. If we jump back out, if I go back up a directory, and we're back at this sort of where all the unit plans are. And you can go into Amazing Amusement Park. And again, there's about 6 or 7 different sort of lessons in each of these areas. And we'll come back in a little bit and have a look at this, the big spinning wheel. Right, so there's sort of the unit plans. You can download this app. You don't need to have bought the kits or anything. The app is free to download. So you can download and test whether it works on your computers, have a look at it beforehand, and so there's no issue with that. It's there available to you. So then we've got units around Happy Traveller, and you can see again, different units, different themes, different models, but all covering sort of, that sort of progression of lessons, if you like. Crazy Carnival Games and Quirky Creations, those sort of things. The next tab I want to show you as part of the overview is here are all the different models for the lesson plans that are downloaded are in this section. Some people like this if the students have progressed through and they're finding the lessons, you might decide that some of the lessons are a bit sort of structured for the students. So you could get the students just to come into this build section, build a model, and then have them work out how it works and how to code it, that sort of thing, without the sort of all the structure that's provided within the unit plans. Okay, so the next tab is My Projects, and this is where all your previously saved programs are stored. So every time a student creates a program and changes it, it's automatically saved. So there's no worries about the students forgetting to save their program, closing it down and losing all their work. So it's any changes you make to the program are automatically updated. And you can see here all the previously created programs are recorded. Now, ideally, you can name them. You can see here I've got things called Project 18, Project 19. Terrible naming convention. I should be going in and naming those programs, and that's something that we teach the students as well. Whatever they're trying to achieve, they should give it a logical name. So you can see here there's one called Line Rescue, and I know what that is. A bit like naming Word documents on a computer, that sort of thing. So then if we jump down, there's also a help menu down here, okay? And in here, you can go in, and if you wanted to find out about particular blocks, okay, all the different blocks and a description and an explanation are there. There's another way we can access that in the actual program itself. The only other tab is down here is Settings. And the one thing I'd just recommend to make sure you've got it clicked on Australia, so that you can, all the lesson plans linked to the Australian curriculum. So that sort of sums up all the different sort of navigation tabs, if you like, here. So if I jump back to home and then we go to the start section, and we'll have a quick look at just the intro tutorial and we'll see how easy it is. So if I click on this and it starts up and it's telling you we're going to learn how to make the motor turn. So it's a really simple, this is like your hello world activity. So just getting started, and you can see here, we've got 2 out of 5 steps. So it's telling me to plug a motor into port A. So I'll plug a motor into port A and just do that. And you can see here, I've got the motor and I'm just trying to plug it in, and I have. Okay. And the next thing is, we'll jump in there, and it's, now you can see here, we've got a really shadowed sort of, the screen is shadowed out and it's directing me as to where I should go. And this is how we want to connect our hub to our computer. So we just come up here, click on that, and it's telling me now to press the button there on the hub. So I'll press that, and hopefully you can see it, it should start flashing white. And when it does, okay, it will pop up in a minute, and there it is, it says SE11. So I'm going to connect to that. And one of the things that it tells you in that sort of guiding tutorial, you can see now I've got a connection. The light on the hub's gone blue for Bluetooth connection. And you can see there that it's labeled SE11. One of the things in that sort of, that starting section I told you about on the card at the top of the kits, that will tell you to go in to label your hubs and name them internally as well. So you can see I've got this labeled as SE11, and it's also internally labeled. That makes it much easier to connect. So the kids at the front of the class aren't connecting to the hubs at the back of the class. And it's just that sort of process just makes the whole classroom experience much easier and much better. Okay, so we now go back to our project. So this is, remember, I'm in a tutorial here, and you'll notice here that there's not many blocks along the bottom. In fact, there's only 2, and I'm getting a really clear guide about what it wants me to do. It wants me to drag up this start block, and then it wants me to drag up that motor block. So now it's telling me to do that, and it's now drawing my attention over here to starting the program. Now, hopefully you can see the camera when I click it, we should get that motor should start turning if we've got everything correct. So I start it, and you've got it. Just let me check that I've got it correctly connected in. And there you go. So it works. Okay. So the kids will what this particular block does is this, any block connected to this yellow start block, and it will activate after in a linear sequence. So if I added more blocks after that, okay, then it would just run. So because we've only got a single motor connected, so it'll turn for 2 rotations. Then the next instruction it will execute is to turn for another additional rotation. So you can see there, it turns for 2 rotations, and then it paused there for a second and then turn for another rotation. So you can modify those. So all these sort of things you can come in, you can type in, you can modify it this way. You could hit plus, that sort of thing, or you can move it quarter turns. So there's all these sort of options built into it. So as to how much you want to modify and customize and set up your blocks. So you can see here we've got to 5 of 5. So that's the initial tutorial. The kids now understand, they've got a block connected, they've got the motors working, okay, and we can now progress to the next step. So if we click on that, it should take us back, and let's continue. So the next step would be to get the light matrix and connect that up, and that'll take us through a little tutorial as well. Now, given this is just a webinar, I won't take you through those sort of details, but you can see how those tutorials work. What I want to do now is take you into one of the lessons themselves before we actually have a look at a model. Okay, so if we jump into the unit plans, and what I want to have a look at today is there's a whole bunch of really fun activities for the students. And what we want to do is jump into the amazing amusement park. So we'll go in there, and there's a particular lesson here So I might like classic carousel or snack stand or perfect swing. But what I'm particularly interested in this spinning wheel. So, sorry, was there someone calling out? No? Okay. So what we've got here, and you can see here, we've got this particular lesson. Now, if I want to have a look at it, the lesson plan itself, before we go in where the students are, myself as a teacher, I can come in here so you can see this section for educators, view lesson plan. Okay, so I'll click on that, and they've got this strange little barrier or gate, if you like, that's supposed to be a check whether you're over 18. So here it says, are you over 18? And then it's got these numbers, so you have to know to type those in. So 3, 2, 0, and when I type in the last one, it will open up this option here, I'm over 18. So I click on that, and it'll take me off to the web. And on the web, I can get the teacher lesson plans. You can see here, it's just opened up a browser and popped in here on this page, the big spinning wheel. There's a little video there, to explain this particular activity, okay, and which might be a good overview for you as a teacher. I won't necessarily play that.
Today, we're going to explore the spinning Ferris wheel lesson. In this lesson, your students will build a Ferris wheel and modify a solution to fix a design flaw.
Okay, we won't sit through that video, but you get obviously that very, shall we say, bright and perky American accent pops up. But yeah, so you've got a little video that explains, that goes into a bit more detail, that sort of thing. Now, the other way we can explore this is it's got the full lesson plan here. So, and the lessons all follow the 5E teaching methodology. For those of you who don't know, that's the sort of engage, explore, explain, elaborate, and evaluate. Okay, so that all the different unit plans follow that methodology. And here it gives you a little guide about how long to spend on each particular activity. So it tells me here that the lesson can take 30 to 45 minutes. That would be sort of the minimum time that you would need to cover this lesson. It tells you that it's a beginner activity. It's pitched around grade 1 to 2. So, and any preparation you might need to do beforehand. Then we jump in and we've got an engagement section. And there's a video there that I'll show you after, which would be the student experience. At the moment, we're in the teacher section, and it would just talk about, you might, as the teacher, to engage the students, you'd facilitate a discussion about modifying a solution in order to make it work properly. So talk with your students about what happens when something is not working as it should. Ask questions like, if the roller coaster is moving slowly and doesn't have enough energy to climb its steep inclines, what could you do to make improve this and fix it? So all these sort of questions, you might start a conversation about fixing and solving problems, and that gives you a little bit of a clue of what the actual activity is as well. So it's a problem we've got to fix. Then you go into the explore phase. That's where the students can build their models and test it as well. Then we've got the explain phase, where we gather your students together to reflect on their completed challenges, so what they've learned from it, that sort of thing. Then we've got the evaluate phase as well, and that's where you could have the students evaluate. Just a second, you might try and mute someone's, I think, not quite aware that their mic is on. We'll just try and find that. Yeah, or maybe it's off. Yeah, okay, they've probably muted it now, which is great, so thank you. All right, so we'll jump in. There's in the evaluation phase, there's the where you can break it up, and it can be teacher-based assessment, it can be peer assessment, where kids say what they liked about the other students, another student's approach, or it can be self-assessment as well. And there's little guides there about how you might do that. There's some coding tips or suggestions about what changes you might need, or you could guide the students. If you're not sure yourself about what changes or what you can do, you can always come into the teacher section and have a look there, a little bit of a sort of guide and possible options for modifying the ride itself in that section. There's also clues on how to differentiate the lesson, how to simplify it a little bit, how to make it a little bit more complex, and extension work as well. So now, if we roll back up to the top of the web page, there's a little over here in the teacher support section, there's a little bit just sort of describing what the learning outcomes might be. So the pupils will modify an existing solution to make it work properly, practice helping a story character, describe key ideas or details from a text. So it's things you'll need. So basically you just need the app and the Spike Essential set, any additional resources you need. And there's also a little assessment rubric in here as well. So you can click on that and, so in theory, you can walk around the class, assessing students as you go, and hopefully that will come up. At the moment, it's just loading. So when it does, and so it's just sort of a way to sort of observe outcomes. So you might have the name of the student, and the student can brainstorm ideas, can improve and refine a prototype, can modify an existing solution to make it work properly. And so, and you've got levels of understanding there, requires additional support, can work independently, can teach others. So there's a rubric there that you might use as well. Okay, so if we drop back now, and then we've got the links here to the educational standards, links to the Australian curriculum. So you can see there, there's one there, explore how technologies use forces to create movement in products. So you can see there's different sort of curriculum or learning outcomes, and they're in there for each of the different units that are provided. Okay, so this is, we've been off, we've seen the teacher section, we like what we've seen, and we've watched, you might have watched the little video there, and you decide that you want to, go back and do that particular lesson. So if we jump back to the actual app itself, so now I've decided, yep, we want to have a look at this lesson, and we'll take the students into this section. So we come along, I'll start it, and this is what the students would do. So that should pop up any second now. And it says there, the team will go on another ride together. So they've obviously been on some other rides. And okay, there you go. Someone fell over. And okay, so that's that's sort of the beginning tutorial, or the first sort of step. Then they come on, they find the big wheel, and they wonder why it is not stopping long enough to let them on. Okay, so there's a sort of clue about what the problem is that we're facing. Okay, so it's a little faster and they can't get on. So build the big wheel for the team to ride. So we want to, first of all, we're obviously building that particular model. Okay, so we've got here the various steps that we need to follow. Okay, you can see, yeah, very clearly the parts needed, where they go, start building it out. Okay, and then following those steps, you can see very simple, easy to follow instructions. And then we've pretty much built the model. And then here, if you haven't already, the characters that you need as well. Okay, so we've now built the model. Okay, and then we've got, here is your challenge, create the program that starts the big wheel. Okay, so we could go in and do that. Okay, and here we've got a very, because we're in a unit, in a particular unit plan, we've got a very curated range of blocks, so very limited in that sense, and we're getting this sort of cue to get us started. And that's what I mean by, it's very very structured in that sense, particularly in these early lessons. And it's telling me to grab that, bring it up. You can see if I put it in the wrong place, it erases the work that I've done. So I've got to follow the instructions quite specifically. Okay, and then we're putting this one inside that loop. Okay, then when I run the program, and I'm just going to swap cameras for a second, give me a moment. So now I've got a little model already pre-built here, actually, and what I haven't done for you is I'm going to set it up and attach the hub back to the model. Okay, so that's the hub I'd connected earlier. Okay, and now when I run it, you can see we've got our little gang of 4 off here to the side. Okay, and you can see when they try to hop onto the big wheel or the Ferris wheel, it's going too fast for them, and they can't get onto it. Okay, so we'll stop our program, and we've got improve the solution. You can see there we've got a little task there to improve the ride and fix it up. Is anyone happy to jump in and let me know what was wrong with it and what we need to do to fix it? So, pipe up. Oh, for the sake of progressing forward. Oh, Russell, you're about to chime in.
Yeah, don't you need a weight block?
Yeah. Okay. So you can see there was no opportunity for the little gang of the little team to get on the actual Ferris wheel, and therefore we need to add in some weight blocks, and we've got these other blocks here as well. So the obvious one, Russell, you're spot on. We'll grab a little weight block, and rather than it being for 1 second, just might make it for 2.5 seconds or so. So I can just come in, I can put decimals in there, that sort of thing. Then you also might notice down the bottom there, we've got a bunch of other blocks there as well that we've been able to add in. But let's have a little look at what changed. And this is one thing I would absolutely recommend, is when students are changing things, add one block, test it out. Don't put 10 blocks into a program, run your program and wonder why it's not working well. So let's check out the difference that it makes. Okay, so this time we run it, and you can see there it's spinning, and it comes around, and it stops now for a greater period of time. And so in that sense, we could probably get, you know, a couple of them on there. So you can see there we go. We've got Leo on there, and he's going around. Okay, now other things. So it's now slow enough that we could do it, but there's other ways that we can make make it a little bit better as well. We've got these other blocks, so I'll just stop that. Okay, one of the things that's going on is it's probably also traveling a little bit fast at that initial stage. So we might slow that down, okay, and then have it move around. Some of the other features here is we could light it up. When it's ready to go, we can have this light matrix and turn that on, and we could have that go all red, and you might be able to see it's lit up on the actual model while I'm doing this, okay? And then when it's time to hop on, once it's finished that, we could have it turn green as well. So you can see here, you can click on a particular color and then have it light up, and that all happens directly on the actual sensor or the light matrix at the same time. So now as we turn it on, we might also play some music. So we've got, you know, we're at a carnival, so we can have little honking horns. We could have, all right, so we can put on any sound we like. We can also create other tasks and have music playing at the same time. So we can come up here and grab music. So nothing could be more annoying than number 3. So we'll go with that. It's a carnival, and so we can run this program now, and you'll notice some of the differences. So you can see that obviously the music's run out, and there's an opportunity now for them all to hop on the ride. Okay, so some of the changes there are, I'll just pop that back a little bit. There you go. You can see there's now the opportunity for the different team to get on the ride. You can also, so if we've now got a basic ride going, there's also the opportunity to create more complex programs. You can see we've just jumped from step 8 of 9 to 9 of 9, and it's opened up, and there's a whole lot of new blocks there that we can experiment where we can send, for those who understand it, we can send messages between things. We can, there is a whole range of possibilities of what we can do. So the other one is we could start using these sort of things. So if we wanted to load all 4 of them onto, so I've just added in another, so that section might be where we load them all onto the ride. And then if we want them to go the other way, okay, so it spins that way, then we could have it go counterclockwise for 10 rotations. And this might be the ride part of it. And we could have it go really fast for that. And we can speed it up and include that in there, and which might mean we need to put this. You can see I'm just sort of manipulating it around, and this is, the students will pick this up very quickly, as will you, and where we can control the speed. And now it might spin around. You know, we could load. What we could do as well is change that horrendous music and see if we can get, oh, there you go, something a bit more, a bit of classical music might work well. You can see at this stage I've been running them onto the actual ride itself. And then once they've all been loaded up, we had four runs at that. They're all loaded up. And now they get a crazy ride, and hopefully they all stay on, who knows. But and now we would unload them out. And so you can okay. So yeah, so it just goes through and loops that continuously. So if there are any questions around that. So yeah, so I guess, you know, that's just a quick demonstration of one of the units. There's also the ability there to have the students modify it. You can see here, you might be able to see up here that the image is changing. So that's the standard build. Then the students can modify theirs and have it rotate at the top, or in any way they design it. And the students come and they can have their own sort of safety. You know, they might set up other sort of safety considerations. They might, you know, have all sorts of, make it a bit crazier and wilder, and, you know, whatever the students sort of create. And then at the end, you can have them sort of gather together and create a big theme park, and each of them get a chance to demonstrate, you know, what their code is, why they chose to, you know, do certain things in the code, the music they're playing, the fun, you know, how they've modified their model. There's a whole range of options that will blow your, if you're trying to keep it to a 30-45 minute class, but there is sort of, you know, you can see these lessons, the 30-45 minute is the minimum you can do in the class, you know, to cover the objectives of the lesson. But you can see you could blow that out into a 90-minute lesson, or even, you know, most of an afternoon in that sense. And it's a really fun and creative way for the students to have a great time and learn a lot of sort of problem solving and prediction and testing their outcomes, and iterate, you know, the iteration of their programs. So I think it's you know, there's lots of lessons like that which have that sort of scope for creativity. Now, I guess that's pretty much, oh, one of the other things, so let's say I didn't know what this particular block here is. There's a block there, and you know, I don't know. I can right click on it, or if you're on an iPad, you can hold down and click, and I can either duplicate. So you can see here, if I want to duplicate, so I'll do a duplication first. Everything I've clicked in there is duplicated. So I can quickly, easily repeat it, and you know, grab sections, that sort of thing. And if I want to throw things away, I can just drop it down the bottom here and let go. So these, let's say I just wanted those blocks to duplicate, I can grab those. Otherwise, if I don't want them on the screen, I can just throw them away. But the other thing is, there was an option to duplicate. There was another one, delete the block, and another one, help. And this drops me, if I click on that, it drops me straight into the correct section in the help menu. And that's really useful for, and where you can look up and it'll give you an explanation or details around that particular block. So this block will play an animal sound. There are 8 animal sounds to choose from, you know, and you can make it, there's a dice there at the bottom. which sort of should indicate to you that it's a random selection of devices as well. Sorry, of sounds. Okay, so that pretty much covers the essence of what I wanted to cover in the app itself. So you can see there, if we go back to the home page, okay, we've got the home page where we are. We've got the start section for the tutorials to get started. We've got the unit plans, and then there's the build and the my project section. So the my projects, so the project I just created there called the big spinning wheel is there, and I could modify it, rename it, delete it, whatever I needed to do. So that's the essence of the app itself, and you can see it, how beautifully and the app and the kits work together. So we might jump back to the presentation that I was doing as well. So we've got those curriculum units that I've taken you through. We've got all the different sort of, and there's the overview of the lesson plans. So there's 7 to 8 lessons in each. They're about 45 minutes minimum, but very much open-ended sort of projects as well. Plus there's 30-minute sort of language arts and maths extensions for the lessons, adding up to about 6 to 10 hours of educational content in each unit. Then we've got the bricks themselves that we built the little model with. They're all stackable, easy to sort out, and color coded and stored, that sort of thing. Then we've got the programming, and I showed you, and what I should do is just quickly jump back and show you that it can also be coded using the word blocks. So if I jump into, say, back to the home page, and I don't want to go into a lesson, I want to just go into a program, I've got the option to go into icon blocks, which is where I was a moment ago, or I've got the option to create a word blocks program. So for those of you who are familiar with Scratch, you can also code the models this way. And you can see here, we've got the cap, which goes on the top of the stacks of code. And then you can drag out different blocks here to turn motors on. And you can see they're all grouped together and color coded. So if you're doing a movement block where you might have a wheel-based robot, you want to put the light on the light matrix, any sounds that you want to play, those sort of things, cat meow sounds. So you can come in here. The kids will have a great time in here. It'll drive you nuts, but nonetheless, it's all part of it. So you can see in here, a whole range of different sounds there to play with. The students can also record their own sounds. So you can come in here, click on that, and it records. And then when they come back and run their program, it will play that sound. Click on that and it records. Okay, so that might have been a bit choppy because we've got a couple of different loops going back here, but yeah, you can record, the students can record their voice and add that into their projects. Then we've got you know, an events and control. There's a whole range of stuff in there where you can do the if else loops and forever loops and all sorts of things to allow the students to create more complex coding down the track. And this is just, for those of you who are familiar with it, it's Scratch, you'll know it, you're familiar with it. For those of you who are not, it's a really easy language which just executes this block. First of all, this event is when the program starts, so it executes all the code underneath this when the program starts, and then it executes the blue block. After the blue block, it executes the purple block. After the purple block, it then enters this forever loop, and then there's sort of coding and stuff there. So, and that's, you know, we cover a lot of that in the sort of tutorials that we do and that sort of thing. All right, so that's, you know, you've got the icon-based coding for the younger ones, the word blocks for the older ones as well. So if we jump back again to the presentation here, and that sort of explains the differences between the two styles of coding. And then we've got a review of the intelligent hardware. And then we've got here the professional development. And there's just a website that I want to take you to. As I said, there's the webinars and the workshops that we run. And then you can come in here, and there's also a PD page provided by Lego. So this is free. Again, it's part of the sort of product. And you can go in here, and it does ask you to log in, so it can keep a record of all the different units of work that you've done. So, you know, where it just tracks what, so you can basically keep a record of all the units, the learning bursts and the learning quests. Now, what do I mean by that? So you can see here, this is part of that Lego learning system in the professional development. You can see, you can jump in here to Spike Essential, BrickQ Motion Essential, Spike Prime, BrickQ Motion Prime. So the two different products and the two different products pitched at different ages. So we're looking at Spike Essential. So you can jump in here. And I mentioned a moment ago, learning bursts and learning quests. So all the little sort of lessons or activities are divided up in this way. So the learning bursts take about 5 to 10 minutes. And the learning quests, if you've got a bit more time, take 30 to 40 minutes. So in here, you can jump in, you can, you know, they're all broken up into different themes, if you like. So there's STEAM concepts, there's 21st century skills, there's pedagogy, there's classroom management. So let's say we jump into classroom management and we have a quick look at one of the lessons. I know we're getting close to time, so I've got to finish up in a moment. And so you can see here, there's different things. One of them, you can see it's keeping a record of which ones I've completed or which ones I'm partway through. It tells me the duration. It might play a video. It might be a little sort of like PowerPoint presentation. And it's essentially Lego come in here. I've just gone into one of them about the 5E teaching instruction model that I mentioned earlier, which is all the lesson plans are built around. And it might have quizzes in there. It's sort of what Lego have determined is industry best practice. You can see here I'm up to step 6 of 7. So if I just drop back to the first one, it tells you, you know, the sort of research basis behind the 5E instruction model. Then it might give you a bit of information about the engagement phase and its purpose. And you can see here, it just transitions through the explore phase and what its purpose is. So there's that sort of structure built around all different concepts inside the inside this Lego PD. To find this, you can just go into, if you go into Google, the way I would find it is Lego education. Always use education with the Lego, otherwise you end up in the retail section. Lego education, and put in PD, and that should get us to, if we go down here, there, that's the link. So it's /pd.legoeducation.com, and that'll take you off. You can then register and have a look through all the different lessons and guides there. All right, so that sort of covers off the PD side of it. As I said, there's workshops and stuff that we run. They're fun days, you know, like, or, you know, around Spike Essential, we usually run like might be a short afternoon session. Around Spike Prime, it's a full day, and there's some more advanced ones as well. So this is just in here to show you, I guess, you know, the solutions that the students can come up with can be as simple as you like or as more complex. And it really is one of those cases where the lessons are, they have low barrier to entry, high ceilings, and as Lego also like to add in wide walls for sort of creativity of what the students can do. So there. Now, before we get to questions, there's something that there may be some of you who are interested in getting a trial of these kits. So you're more than welcome to test them. It's no obligation. You can borrow them for 30 days. You can see there's a QR code, and yeah, you can borrow them, try the kits out, and test them with some of the lesson plans, and test them in your school and see what the students think of them as well. So that's yeah, obviously no obligation. And then that's pretty much where we finish up, and we can take questions now. I know Joe's probably been working away on the chat function, and hopefully answered most of the questions, but we'll open it up now. I'll pop it back to that trial page in case anyone didn't get a chance to get the QR code, and I'll leave it on that and open it up to questions. Is there anyone who has any questions about the kit? Or Joe, are there any questions on the chat function that we need to cover off?
Russell, would you like to ask James what you were talking about with the app?
Yeah, James, when you look at recent projects, you've got a mix of recent projects for Spike Prime and Spike Essentials. Is it
Yes.
just the way that you label them that you should try and differentiate, or?
Oh, well, I suppose the students, whether they're using, you can see there
Yeah.
that there is a bit of an indication
Yeah.
to some degree. So what Russell's talking about is when I've gone back into the app at the moment. I was in my projects, and you can see there's just a myriad of different projects that I've been in, created, or demonstrated, that sort of thing. And some of them you can see here. This one is clearly relating to Spike Essential. If there are students in grade 6 who are working on Spike Prime on the same iPads or devices as the students in grade 1, then finding their old programs, they really do need to go in and name them. My suggestion would be it might be, grade 6 or and their initials or something. You probably do need to come into a naming convention, but you can see here I've got Python-based programs there as well, where so they are all the programs are detected and included there. So there isn't a division in that sense between the Spike app and the Spike Essential. So you can see here, if there's the option to very quickly transition as well between the two apps. And I guess the overall benefit is that for a school administration, they can have the one app and keep that updated for both sets of kits. So it's quite a nice bonus in that sense. You can easily transition between the two. I'm in Spike Essential at the moment. I can click on that, and then I pop into Spike Prime, and all the different unit plans are there now. And these ones relate to Spike Prime. So, yeah. So I guess, yeah, it might be in the naming conventions, Russell, that you would fix that problem. So, any other questions?
Yes, one, please.
Yep.
No. I'd like to get a trial for the 30 days, but I don't have my phone here. So how do I use the QR code?
Oh, okay. In that case, you could email me, Dwyer at teaching.com.au, and JDWYER.
Yeah.
And we can get you out a loan kit that way.
Dwyer at teaching.com.
.com.au. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
No problem. So I'll just pop up the chat function. I can see who's just getting a kit decision makers.
Yep, we've answered all the questions there, James.
All right. Okay. So yeah, Russell's giving some advice there for other teachers as well. Yeah. So yeah, it might be an idea to get it in and demonstrate it if you're trying to showcase it or explain to the decision makers in your school. It can be useful if you can get the kit demonstrated and show it being used by the students.
That's what I want to do.
Oh, well, yes.
That's my plan.
Good. Okay. Red hot mess. Does Lego have plans to allow teachers to set up classes? Online would be even better. Lego have to set up classes. Lee, I'm not.
I think, James, Lee means can you put your classes in so that you can access all the students and see directly what they've done, like a learning platform. But no, Lego doesn't have that.
That's probably something, you can manage on your devices if they're networked, where it saves the students' programs. Might be the best way to manage that. Yeah, so that might be your internal IT setup.
Hi, James. Hi, James.
Lee
here.
Say,
it's my question. Sorry, Joanne. I was talking about that projects page, which is a red hot mess with Prime and Essential everywhere.
Yes.
Lego have plans that we can sort that and maybe have folders saying, because my iPads will go to year 6 or whatever, so have a year 6 folder with all their work in on the iPad, and then year 4 have all their work in a folder. Because that projects page you showed me, imagine young kids trying to find their work. So do they have plans to make it more organized?
I'm not sure whether there are plans there, but I can certainly put that forward as a suggestion that that they look at how to improve that in a school environment where iPads are moved up and down the classes. So I can certainly put it forward that it could be, yeah, you could create folders around that or something. Yeah. Thanks, Lee. Okay. Are there any other questions?
Could you please repeat that email?
Oh, the email is.
It's on the screen.
It's on the bottom of the screen. Maybe the colour doesn't show up that well, but it's J Dwyer, JDWY.
Oh, there it is. It was behind a message. Thank you.
You're all good. Okay, no worries.
Yes, I got it now. Thank you.
No problem.
All cool.
Okay. All right. Well, chime in if you've got a question. Don't hesitate. Otherwise, put it up in the thing. But otherwise, yeah, we'll finish this session up. So thank you again for your time this afternoon, and thank you to Joe as well for handling all the stuff on chat. That's much appreciated. And yeah, hopefully, hopefully you might have a look at the kits and see they're a lot of fun and some great learning outcomes for the students as well. So which is the whole idea. All right, if there are no other questions, okay. Thank you everyone for your time. Okay,
Thank you.
Might finish up. Okay, see you on another information session, or hopefully at a workshop. That's where a lot of fun happens. Okay, bye everyone.